Hello Mandela class, welcome back to your maths videos. This morning, it was lovely to see you all on the live chat, and thank you to those of you who shared some of the things that you may have struggled with a little bit in our maths lesson. So one thing that came up was that it wasn't necessarily the calculations in this question from the previous lesson that you struggled with, but more about how to use the numbers to complete the calculation. So we'll go over that first before we move on to our lesson from today. So what you would need to do is multiply these two numbers together first. So we have done 3 times 2, which equaled 6. So then what we want to do is to multiply 3 by the next number. So we would do 3 times 4. And we would write the answer in this square. So 3 times 4 is 12. And then 3 times the next number. So 3 times 8 is 24. Okay, so we've completed the first row now. We would have another number here to then multiply by 2, and then multiply by 4, and then multiply by 8. But we don't have that number, so we need to figure out what that number would be. So something, and we've already got 2 of the answers here, so that would give us a clue. Something multiplied by 2 equaled 10. What times 2 equals 10? Well, if you know your 2 times tables, you would know that 2 times 5 equals 10. So this is the number that would go here. Let's double check it with this next number to make sure that our answer would also be correct. So 5 times 2 equals 10. 5 times 4 equals 20. So we were right. What about 5 times 8? Well, 5 times 8 equals 40. Okay, now for this next number, we would also have a number here. We know that it has to be multiplied by 8. Well, it would have to be multiplied by 2, and then multiplied by 4, and then multiplied by 8. But we don't have these two answers to use as clues. We only have this last answer. So we know that something times 8 equals 72. You had that question in one of your pieces of work from yesterday. So what times 8 equals 72? Well, I'm going to use my knowledge of the 8 times tables. I know that my 8 times tables go up in 8s. I also know my answer to 10 times 8, which is 80. So I can notice here that 72 is 8 less than 80, because 72 plus 8 would give me 80. So I know that this calculation is one before this calculation. So this calculation is 9 times 8. So I know that the number 9 would go here, because 9 times 8 equals 72. So now I can complete the other two. 9 times 2 equals 18. 9 times 4 equals 36. Okay, then the final part of this question was, do you notice anything about the numbers? So I'm going to highlight a row of numbers. We've got 10, 20, 40. In this row of numbers, we have got 6, 12, 24. And in the last row of numbers, we have got 18, 36, 72. Do you notice anything about these numbers? Well, the easiest for me to spot would be 10, 20, 40. Because if we just take away the zeros, we can notice that it's being doubled. So double 10 would be 20. So we've got one lot of 10 and another lot of 10, we've got 20. And then double 20 would give us 40. So the numbers are being doubled. Is that the same pattern that we noticed here? Well, what's double 6? Well, double 6 is 12 and double 12 is 24. So these two rows are being doubled. What about this last row? What's double 18? You can pause the video to have a go at this yourself. I know that double 8 is 16, so I can see the 6 here, and I've got the 10s from the 16 in my head, and double 1 would be 2, plus the 1 that I've already got in my head, 3. So double 18 is 36, and double 36 is 72. So all the numbers in each row are being doubled. That was the pattern. Okay, let's move on to today's lesson. Today's lesson and learning objective is, can I use my knowledge of multiplication and division to compare statements using inequality symbols? Pause the video. What are the inequality symbols? Well, we have got the bigger than symbol, larger than. We've got the smaller than or less than symbol, and we have got the equal sign. So, to start off with, make sure you've got your scrap piece of paper. I don't need to see this on your on tapestry. This is just practice before we get to the main activity. Look at this array carefully. Write 2 multiplication and 2 division number sentences to represent this array, and play the video when you're ready. Okay, what did you notice about how many rows there were? Remember, when you're shown an array, your number sentences have to represent the number of rows and the number of columns. There are many other number sentences that we could write to represent the total number of counters shown, but with an array, we want multiplication and division number sentences that just represent what we can see. So, how many rows do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 times, how many are in, how many columns do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 columns. And how many are in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 4 times 6 equals, if you haven't got this number sentence, please pause the video and have a go at calculating what 4 times 6 is, and play the video when you're ready. Okay, so as we discussed, we have 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. And how many do we have in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which equals, you can also count in 2s to help you, or count in 4s. Okay, so 4 times 6 equals 24. Which other multiplication number sentence could we then write to represent this array? Well, we know that multiplication is commutative. What does that mean? Pause the video. Well, it means that if the two numbers are swapped around, so if we swap 6 and 4 around, what happens to the answer? The answer stays the same. So 6 times 4 also equals 24. Now, how could we use these numbers to write a division number sentence to represent this array? What rule do we always have to follow when writing division number sentences? We always have to start with the largest number. Otherwise, we wouldn't have enough, just like subtraction. So, which is the largest number? 24. So 24 divided by 4 equals 6. Which other division number sentences could I write? Well, again, I would have to start with the largest number, which is 24. This time, what could I divide it by? 24 divided by, I've already divided it by 4. I can now divide it by 6. So 24 divided by 6 equals 4. Okay, so here are our 4 number sentences to represent this array. Now that we've practiced representing an array as a number sentence, I want you to pause the video and have a go at representing this array just using one multiplication number sentence, and this array again using one multiplication number sentence. And then once you've calculated the answer and found the product, which is the answer to a multiplication number sentence, once you found both products, then can you use the inequality symbols to compare the two number sentences? Play the video when you're ready. Okay, so again, let's look at the number of rows that we have got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many do I have in that row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You may have done another number sentence by looking at the number of columns and the number of items in each column. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you may have written 7 first times, well, how many do we have in each column? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You may have written 7 times 5 or 5 times 7. They are both correct. So now you can count in 5s or use your knowledge of the 5 times table to write your answer. Let's count in 5s to make sure we all do it correctly. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So 5 times 7 equals 35. And 7 times 5 also equals 35. Whichever one you've done, that's absolutely fine. Okay, now we're going to represent this array as a number sentence. You can either count the number of columns with how many there are in each column, or the number of rows and how many there are in each row. I'm going to count the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 rows. And how many are there in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You may have also counted the number of columns. There are 9 columns. And counted the number of items in each column. There are 4 in each column. So you could end up with either one of these two. So 4 times 9 equals 36. And 9 times 4 also equals 36 because multiplication is commutative. So now let's look at our answer. We've got 36 here and 35 here. Which number is larger? 36. And if you remember, so this symbol is what you would use because the crocodile's mouth will always be open towards the larger number because it wants to eat the larger number. But when I'm thinking about that process, I don't need to draw the crocodile's teeth on there. I just draw my inequality sign. So now that we've written a multiplication number sentence to represent each, can you pause the video and write a division number sentence to represent each. You've already got the numbers that you need to use. You just need to remember the rule when we are dividing. What number do we always start with? Pause the video and have a go at doing that, and then use the inequality symbol to compare the two statements. Okay, so when dividing, I always start with the largest number. So I'm going to write a division number sentence to represent this array. My largest number is 35 divided by 7 equals 5. You may have also written 35 divided by 5 equals 7. That's absolutely fine. For this array, you could have written 36 divided by 9 equals 4, or 36 divided by 4 equals 9. Now, your answers may change depending on which order you've written the number sentences in. You may have written 36 divided by 4 on the top. So you need to just look carefully at what the answer is. Here, my answer is 5, and here my answer is 4. So which one is larger? 5. Here, my answer is 7, and here my answer is 9. So which one is larger? 9. So depending on what order you've written it in, you just need to pay attention to the answer to use the correct symbol. Okay, can you pause the video and have a go at doing this on your scrap piece of paper? And then again, we will go through this together as well. Okay. So, Rebecca uses counters to make arrays. Use the array she has made to compare 6 times 8 and 4 times 12. So let's just make sure that these number sentences represent the arrays shown. So 6 times 8. So we may have 6 rows or 6 columns. Let's double check which one it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We do have 6 rows. And are there 8 in each row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We do, so it would have been easier to count in twos. 2, 4, 6, 8. So 6 times 8 represents this. And then 4 times 12. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Let's check if we've got 12 in each row. Let's count in twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 4 times 12. Now, I want you to pause the video and have a go at completing 6 times 8 and 4 times 12 using whatever method you would prefer, and play the video when you're ready. Okay, so I know my 8 times table, so I didn't really need to count this, but if you need to count, that's absolutely fine. If you want to draw pictorial representations and, well, draw your equal groups, that's absolutely fine as well. So I know 6 times 8 is 48. So I'm just going to make a note of the answer. Actually, I could write it in front of it. It would be neater. Okay, now I'll tell you the method that I used to calculate 4 times 12. I know that I can use my 2 times tables to help me with my 4 times table. So I know that 2 times 12 equals 24. So I would need to double that to get the answer to 4 times 12. So I know 2 times 12 is 24. So what's double 24? 48. So what do you notice about these two answers? which symbol would we need to use? Well, both of our answers are 48, so I would use the equal sign. Okay. Now it is your turn to complete your independent task, which is very similar to what we have been doing. You may need to use pictorial representation to find your answer. That is absolutely fine. So start with question 1. In between, so you would write 1 times 2 on your piece of paper, and in front of it, leaving a little bit of a gap, you would write 1 times 4, and then use the bigger than, smaller than, or equal to signs to compare them, and the same with the other number sentences. Then number 2, we've mixed up some multiplication and division number sentences. So you may want to just start with A, calculate 3 times 8 and 6 times 4. Use your knowledge of your times tables if you are confident with them. If not, then please make sure that you use pictorial representations to help you. And compare the statements in A, then move on to B, compare these two, and so on. And if you are up for it, then have a go at completing your extension. Well done, Mandela class, and I look forward to hearing more from you next week in our live sessions, and I will see you in the next videos. Bye. Well done, Mandela class.